Southern style collard greens with smoked turkey wings is one of my favorite Thanksgiving side dishes. And Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so I decided to show you guys how I make it. And these are the parts of the turkey wing that I'm using. I'm not using an entire wing because I'm not making a lot of collard greens. And I'm using my Ninja Foodie pressure cooker because it's going to help tenderize the turkey wings. Now, you do not have to do it this way if you don't have a pressure cooker. You can also just boil this on the stove top. To the pot, I've added a little bit of oil and I am just sauteing onions until they're just a little bit brown. Then I'm going to add crushed garlic. And I'm going to saute the garlic for just about 30 seconds to a minute. You don't want to cook it for too long or else the garlic will burn and become bitter. Next, I'm adding chicken broth. And I'm adding about 5 cups of broth, and you need a lot because this is going to cook for a very long time. Next, I'm going to add the smoked turkey wings, but you can also use ham hock in place of the smoked turkey wing if you prefer. Next, I'm going to place the lid onto the pressure cooker and pressure it on high for about 30 minutes. And if you don't have a pressure cooker, you can place this on the stove and allow it to boil for at least an hour before adding the greens. And while that cooks, I am gonna prepare the collard greens. And I have just about 3 bunches of collard greens. This is more than enough for my family of 4. The first thing that you're gonna do is remove the thick rib that runs in the center of the leaf. And I'm gonna show you 2 ways to do this. You can use a knife and cut along on both sides of that thick stem and just remove that stem and just put it to the side. You're going to discard it. We don't need it in our collard greens. So this is one way to do it. Now the other method is actually my preferred method because it is a lot faster. Once I remove the stem from the bunch, I'm just going to hold it with the leaves facing downward, and using my fingers I'm just going to strip the leaves away from that stem. And it's okay that the leaves are a little bit torn because remember, we are going to chop this up, so it really doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. Now once I've stripped all of the leaves from the stem, it's time to cut it. And I like to do this part of the process before washing the greens. Once I've stripped the leaves from the stem and cut it up, then I'm going to wash it. Next, I'm going to tightly roll this up so it's easy to cut, and I'm going to cut it into 1-inch wide strips. Now, if you're not familiar with collard greens is a thick, hearty, leafy, very earthy vegetable, and I never had it before moving to the States, and it's become one of my favorites over the years. One way that I like to use any leftovers of this recipe is in cook-up, and it is amazing. I also like to cook it in coconut milk, and I will leave a link to that recipe below in the description box. Next, I'm going to wash the collard greens. I filled my sink with water and I am just going to swish it around, and this is just to get rid of any sand or dirt that might still remain on the leaves, and it pretty much just drops to the bottom of the water. And once I'm finished, I'm going to remove the chopped collard greens and place it into a colander. Next, it's time to check on those smoked turkey wings, and it's done. So I am just going to do a quick release method on my pressure cooker and allow all that steam to release in order to open the pot. Now after 30 minutes of pressuring, the turkey wing has become a lot more tender. It's not quite falling off the bone, and this is what we want because once we add the greens to the pot, it's going to continue to cook. Now once I've added all of the collard greens to the pot, I am going to season it a little bit more with red pepper flakes and red wine vinegar. And I'm not going to add any salt because the smoked turkey wings is salted, and that salt transfers into the pot as it cooks, so it has more than enough salt. Next, I'm going to place the lid on and I'm going to pressure this for another 25 minutes. You can cook this on the stove top for about 45 minutes to about an hour and a half, depending on how tender you like your greens. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the turkey wing from the collard greens, and then I am going to shred the meat. I'm going to take the meat off the bone using 2 forks. I'm going to toss the skin and just shred the meat because I want there to be flecks of meat all throughout the collard greens, so you get a little bit of a treat in each bite. And then I'm going to add it back to the collard greens and allow it to cook uncovered for about 15 minutes because I want all of that liquid to cook down so that it becomes nice and thick. And that's it, you guys. All you need is just a few ingredients to make amazing southern style collard greens. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you would like to try this recipe, it will be linked in the description box below the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.